Okay, then. So this is Jack Hobbs' second performance point review for the final project. Okay, then. So let's start with your form here then. You initially had given yourself a pass for the context for your project. Can you tell me why you think you've gotten a pass so far?
Well, as of now, um, I haven't exactly gone beyond. Oh yeah, I haven't actually gone beyond what I need to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So you think it's a little shallow at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're looking at the marks scheme here then for your context, then so a fail is limited understanding of the subject context or lacking in clarity in aim or purpose. Can you right now tell me what are you doing for your final major project?
Pretty much the same as it was, as I said.
Assume I know nothing about your project at all.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing for it?
So I'm making a consecutively endless run, if that makes sense. So you'd instead of in X axis, you'd be going in the Z axis.
Assume I know nothing. What are you making? Building a game?
Yes.
You are making
I'm
a game.
making
A,
a
a
game.
game. Okay. And why?
Right. Kind of just because I wanted to see if it would work.
So this is a test for yourself, a
Yeah.
challenge. So there we go. In only a couple of questions, you are able to explain quite clearly what you're doing and what the point of it is. So I hope when we look at your blog, you've definitely at least said that, because then it's not a fail. Okay, then. Right then. So you've given yourself a pass. So understanding of subject context and describing your aims and clarifying your purpose. Well, you were able to do that to me verbally, so we'll take a look at the next. Right then. So when it comes to research, you've also given yourself a pass. Why do you think you have a pass for your research?
Well, as I said, I have only really done what I need to, and not
Right. You
beyond.
you feel you haven't
Yeah.
fleshed it out too far then. Right then. So you have primary research, and this was a survey.
Yes.
Okay. Was it useful?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Okay. Very good. And you haven't done any physical research at all? Have you been into the library to have a look and see if
And
there's
I
any?
haven't.
Okay, it is worth your time to try and use one of your free periods or an afternoon, if you can find the time to get down there and get a look through their reference library and see if there's anything that you can use, even if it's just for inspiration for the environmental design. There's a lot of artwork books down there, and there's also lots of technical books on all aspects of IT, really. So make sure you grab an opportunity to do that, because it just adds another arrow to your quiver, right? It's another element to your research. It could help bump this up from sufficient relevant information to thorough and sustained research. So let's look at pushing you towards that merit then. Okay. How many sources have you listed in bibliography? 21 to 30. That's a good number so far. I'm happy with that. That's excellent. And what areas of research do you know you need to do but haven't done as yet? Primary research and books. So good. That's exactly what I was just talking to you about. So you haven't done primary research yet. You told me you'd done a survey and that it was very useful.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So you have done the primary research then.
Seems so, yeah.
All right, we'll get a look at your research and we can see what other sections there are to add then. Are you familiar with these grading matrices and how we use them? Yeah.
Not exactly seen them coloured, but
No, that's pretty much only on these forms we see that one there then. So let's come over to your context and research page here then.
Yeah.
And I have here is your proposal form. So rationale, you knew about Photoshop and Wix. You've learnt a lot. This is all talking about improving your skills and planning, which is outlined. This backs up what you said to me earlier. You're looking for a challenge to continue to improve and develop your skills, and you've chosen to do a game which allows you to practice everything that we've done on the course.
Yeah,
it's an ambitious one here. And then we describe the aim for the project, and then your research and evaluation. How are you going to be doing this? Right. The grading activity is part of the context for this whole thing, where you allow you. Whoa, what's going on there?
I honestly don't know. That just comes.
It's going to be part of the template. It's doing weird things. Okay. And here is your bouncing up project pitch. And we start testing it straight away here then. So is this your research? Is this experimentation?
I think it's more experimenting.
Okay. So what we're lacking here like is even an intro or a title.
Yeah.
Look, we come straight from your picture, which you also haven't introduced, portfolio grading activity, and then these slides are just embedded here then. So when I'm looking at your context here, I want you at every stage to be demonstrating to me. Imagine I'm sat on your shoulder saying to you, so what? Why is this here? If you haven't introduced something, you don't explain to me why you're showing it to me. So it doesn't help you demonstrate the context.
Okay.
So this work is presented almost without context. If I read it, I can work out what's going on. But you want to make this as clear as possible. If we look at the mark scheme here, clarity is a key word right in the middle of this, and it appears again and again and again throughout the entire mark scheme here. So if you're lacking in clarity as I read through your document, if I'm struggling to understand it, that's the big shift between level 3 second year and first year, is this clarity of communication becomes a crucial component of the mark scheme. Okay. So I need you to not leave me guessing at any point, and you want to tell me what you're showing me, why you're showing it to me, and then we go through. Treat each of these sections on their own as a little document, a little one-off, all on their own, and then your context will handle itself because you will have explained everything so clearly and hopefully concisely here then. So this is the pitch slides are presented without any information. We go straight into testing. Do you see what I mean? Like what are we doing here then? A short video of how platforming would work in your game, in someone else's game, in a hypothetical game. If I'm left with questions, that means you need to define the context more clearly. But it's good to see lots of your documentation, and it's good to see you linking in your tutorial videos. That's great. That allows me to say that you're continuing to research and work. And then now we're making a Lego brick. Why? How does this fit into your project?
So this is because of...
But you don't say.
No.
Yeah. See, when we're going to be finally marking this, it might not be me or Fraser. What if you get the independent markers come in to check your work and make sure that we're all operating? It's not going to be someone that knows you and knows your work. All they're going to have is what's written on the blog and shown in the videos. So never leave any like assumptions for me. So again, if you just introduced this section, what is this part for? You wanted to build some props for your level.
Yeah.
That's all you need to say here then. Basic props for level design, and then you say, I wanted to take a break from programming and do some 3D modeling, so I made my props, or whatever the case actually is. Because the brick turned out really well.
I think it did.
Yep. And we've got biscuits, the club biscuit, the obvious winner for closest to a Lego brick. Although I'm going to be part of the chocolate bonbon club, so that's not fun. And then you went and modelled the biscuit as well. And you put your name on so that you avoid any copyright issues. See, this is all really good production stuff, but we are in the context and research part of your blog.
Yeah.
And you're already producing assets and designing and building things. So I'm looking for more of this context and research. I'm going to keep going. Do I hit context and research eventually?
I didn't.
Okay, all right, let's keep going then. So this is a little bit of research for what components should you do. We've got some UVs, more production work here, building the level, gravity, more production work, more production work. So I remember you spoke to me that you were looking into 2.5D games.
Yes.
Where's that research? Oh, this is very cool. I like the little animated logo. Right.
Just annoyingly that doesn't work in the game.
What is it? Saved as an animated GIF.
Yeah, it's just a GIF.
There's got to be a way of making that play, but failing that, I can show you how to do the same animation in Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unreal's UI, all the widgets, is called UMG, Unreal Motion graphics. It's designed to be animated.
Okay.
So I can show you how that works. Right. Right. We've got some research here. You're looking into console pause screens and controllers and menus. Why? Why are you showing me this now? See what I mean? So I'm not going to repeat myself here then.
Yeah.
When we jump onto a different section, so this whole section here is you now looking at UI. Okay, that's good. And that links back into this then. So you were started constructing UI and a menu. But yeah, you haven't introduced this. You're not telling me what each part is. So this is the main menu or is this the pause menu?
This is the main menu.
Okay. Is this for the main menu or for the pause menu? You see, it is all one big section, and I'd like to see you break it up. I'd like to see you tell me what's going on and why you're doing those bits here then. Again, I understand that the purpose of your project is to stretch all of your skills, so you want to do a bit of everything and you want to test it all. But tell me why you're doing the specific parts of this.
Okay.
And then we hit the bibliography. Okay, so if I come over to your planning and production page, is any of your research in here?
I don't think so.
Nothing. Okay. Right. So research-wise, at the moment, you are there's almost nothing here. Then you've got a few pictures from other games. So let's take a look at your proposal here. Right. So what we're missing is all of the research into your game's design and implementation here then. So what happened to all that work that you were talking to me about when you were looking at the history of other games and you were looking at 2.5D games? That was more than a month ago now.
I think that went into the previous.
Do you still have it though?
Yeah, I should.
Okay, right, because then we might be able to use parts of it again, or build on it.
Okay.
Because what I'm left with is a lot of questions here. Then, so what I would like to see is an introduction to 2.5D games. I would like to know your decisions for why you want to do that. I would like to see you discussing the aesthetic and color scheme that you want to go for. What games have inspired you? What colors are you going to go for? Is this going to look like Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation? Or is this going to look like Candy Crush with all the beautiful shiny sprites? Are you going to do a photorealistic biscuit that shatters into perfect crumb? I want to see that discussion of what are you actually going to do? And then I want to see your research for why and what your decisions are. So I think what is your aesthetic? What sort of color scheme and decisions? How do you want this to look?
As of now, I want it to look very same as my other the Funimation project,
like from last year. Yeah. So if I remember off the top of my head, last year was done with quite flat cartoonic colors.
Yeah.
You did a very low poly, simple, clean color palette. Okay, so that's what you want to do here then. You don't mention that anywhere.
No.
Oh, well, do you? If
I don't think I do.
So I, for example, a section on aesthetics where you look at different kind of aesthetics in games, you choose one, you research that one, and you analyze how you can do it and what tricks and techniques you could learn to enhance your current skills. So do you remember last year when you modeled the low poly environment for your FMP, did you use a color atlas or did you texture every surface with its own material for flat colors?
I think I put the texture inside it, so I think
Well, they textured in Substance Painter then?
No, they were put in given different I think they're called elementals. Is that right?
Instances.
Yeah, it is.
So you had lots of instances of different colors and you applied those to it. Okay. So that's one way of creating nice, effective flat colors. Another method of doing that, which is very, very memory efficient, is something called a color atlas, where you use the UVs of your mesh to color
Okay.
rather than the material. The material holds every single color, and you just put the UVs on the color you want. It's very fast, very rewarding, and like instantly you can see different results. But if you so that would give you an opportunity to research something new. If you haven't used an atlas before when texturing, that's a new skill for you to learn. That was one of the purposes of the project. You wanted to learn
Yeah.
new skills you wanted to develop. And so something like that would be a great section to add to your research. Aesthetics. How do I want it to look? What skills could I learn? Here's my experimenting and testing it. You have started looking into the actual level design and implementation. There's a lot on this. Have you got a section where you research platformers in other games? Is there anything like this? Have you ever played a game with similar ones? Have you managed to make it? Does it auto jump now? Always
Yeah.
bouncing? Have you ever played a game that did that before?
No,
Right. Okay. So that's really cool. Have you ever played a game where any of the mechanics are like completely automatic?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'd like to see you look into something like that because the closest thing I can think of is some scrolling shooting games. They just fire automatically. You don't have to press a button. Why do they do that? Why did you want it to jump without pressing a button?
I think because it was a ball and supposed to be a bouncing ball, it's just the automatic expression of let's see if this thing can actually do it.
Because it's also quite a fun one. Like it reduces the controls.
Yeah.
If you only need to move, you don't need to worry about jumping. And your game becomes more accessible. It's
Yeah.
simpler to, for example, create a mobile version.
Yeah.
You don't need to push more buttons now then. So there's lots of reasons that, but I would like to see you expand on that. Like, why do games do limited controls? Why do games do complicated controls? What do you gain or what do you lose by doing that? I'm not seeing any research into control schemes in games. Have you looked into different platformers for, like, do you know what it was called with the, was it soft collision where they
Yes,
moved
soft
through?
collision.
Do you talk about that here?
No, I don't.
Because that was a whole new part of the engine that
Yeah.
you had to research and learn to use and implement in here then. So you've learnt a lot. You've actually done a lot of research because you've had to build all of these systems yourself, right? You did the whole chaos fracturing for breaking the disk into pieces. Do we talk about that here?
No.
So you've done a lot of work, but it's not captured on your blog, which is very disappointing. So because I know you can do it, because you've done it, the game's starting to work, the demo is starting to work. So currently your context is you haven't introduced a lot of your work. It's just presented as a stream of consciousness. Your pitch proposal document is really good, and your initial proposal document, the UAL one, the orange one, that's also very good. So they provide you with enough context that you probably could get a pass for context there. But then the rest of your work, it doesn't have titles. You're not telling me why you're doing it. It's not introduced with much clarity. And again, here, if we look at the mark scheme, it's the aim and purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay.
It may seem silly, but you do have to spell that out as you go because it might not be me that's marking it. It might not be Fraser. It might be someone who's never met you before and they do not know what you're doing. So don't leave them guessing. And for the sake of a few sentences, just to make sure that your work is introduced, and then at the end of each section, do a little outro. What did you learn? Did it work? Could you do this differently in the future? Or did you end up abandoning it completely? Like, just make sure that's at the end of each section.
Okay.
And then do you see how each section becomes its own story? Intro, what you did, and then a little conclusion at the end. And make your whole blog a series of those little arguments that link together, little articles, each one that introduces, does the work, and then has an outro. And then not only are you easily going to be getting a pass, but that sort of detail will push your context up to a merit.
Yeah.
You're really making it what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're demonstrating that you understand the context. So I'd love to see you just spending some time to make sure that structure is there and that those pieces of work are clearly placed in context for us. Your research currently is almost entirely missing, so unsurprisingly, I'm afraid that's probably at a fail at the moment. So we need to expand your research, and I've given you a couple of ideas here. Have you got anything that, in your head now that you think you could also add to it? Remember, I'm stood behind you saying, why are you showing me that, and so what? If you're not, if you get straight onto building your Unreal project and you haven't even explained to me what kind of game you're trying to make or what your influences are, even some mood boards. What are your favorite platformers? What art styles do you like? That sort of thing can make great little introductory research pieces that can get your brain going. And I'd like to see you looking at like main characters. You're doing a ball.
Yeah.
Have you ever played The Blob?
I don't think so. No.
The Blob is a ball with ears who dips himself in paint and repaints a city in a 3D platform game. As he rolls around, he turns into a complete sphere and he just leaves a trail of paint behind himself. Have you looked into ball characters in games?
No, I didn't think they'd exist.
But you've done it. So I'd love to see you think about all the different parts of your project and just do a little research on them. Has anyone done this before? If no one's done it before, great, then you're the first one. If other people have done it, how have they done it and how is yours different? Like, is there anything inspiring from this? So, like, the Blob uses a lot of these trails and pathways behind it as you move because part of the game is about repainting the world behind you. So there's lots of visual clues as you move around. The world is recolored. You could have you thought about leaving a particle trail behind your character as it moves and jumps?
Not really.
Yeah, so that would be a new thing for you to research. Right? That's just one example again, then, a part of your game that you could do a little bit of research. What ball characters have there been in video games? Are there any video games with biscuits in, right? Like just silly things like that. If you do a little bit of research just to check, how has this been done before? Have other people done it? And where you've done anything technical, like the chaos destruction that you put in, stuff like the soft collisions, like where was that inspired from? Is that something that Mario does? Is this like this idea that you can jump through a platform from one direction but not from the other?
Yes, I think that came from I can't remember what it's called.
It would be great if you had a research section.
Yeah.
Where you could tell me about these mechanics and ideas.
If you go to the site, I think I might have it actually. Would be right top, I think. Maybe. No, it doesn't seem to be there. That's unfortunate.
Right. So I think I'm repeating myself a bit now. Do you have any questions?
No, not really.
Okay. This has been helpful. Have you got some ideas on where to go from now? Great. Okay. Stop the screen.